and welcome to Adulting with Most. Hi, my name is Emily. I'm a young adult and I'm a very friendly person who loves animals. I was born with a rare genetic disorder called Prader-Willi syndrome. It's a disorder that makes you overeat because you never feel full. I'm on a strict calorie count diet to manage it, but there is no cure for it yet. I'm currently in the Most program. They are helping to build up my resume by offer work experiences to gain meaningful employment and not just a job. I'm also engaged to my fiance, John. He's so cute. And we have a lot in common. I want to share my life and the life of others with disabilities and the challenges we face every day. I want the world to be accepting and understanding for people like us. Today, my guest is Mr. Kenny. Mr. Kenny is the program manager for the Fairfax Most program. Not only has he been in this line of work for many years, he also has taken care of his own family members who have disabilities. How are you doing today, Kenny?
Good. Emily, thank you for having me today.
Thank you for coming on. I'm glad you could come. As always, if there is anything you do not wish to share, you are more than welcome not to. This is a pressure-free zone. Say what you would like to share that you are comfortable with sharing. Have you only worked at the Most program?
No, I have several different providers I work for. So no, Most is actually my third provider working with individuals with disabilities.
Wow. What are the other ones called?
Well, I work for a company called Phoenix and Son. It's a group home setting where I took care of three residential residents. Also work for a company called MDLE it's called Mount Vernon Lee there in Springfield, Virginia. And they pretty much does some of the stuff that we do, community setting, also some group day stuff that we do as well. And it looks like I see that you want to know if I work for kids and adults. I mostly work with young adults and older adults. No kids yet. The only experience I have with working with kids is my own son that has.
How long have you been taking care of people with disabilities?
I'd say I've been in this field now about 11, 12 years. So, pretty much both sides of residential as well as group day and group community engagement.
What struggles have you faced when taking care of a family member with disabilities compared to work?
Okay, so let me start with my son, and then I'll go back and tell you my whole story, how I actually fell into the field of working with individuals with disabilities. So my son was born early. He was in an incubator and at the ICU for probably 4 months after he was born.
Wow.
He was born with a small tab of cerebral palsy, which made him have low muscle tones in his legs, which he ended up being a tiptoe walker, which means he walked around for probably like a month on his tiptoes. He had to have surgery to have his muscles released in his legs so he can be flat-footed and walk flat-footed. So that was a struggle at one time for us. His muscle tones didn't really form until after he was maybe I want to say 4 or 5 months, and they got real sturdy and stable then. But he stayed in the incubator, and then when we did come home, they noticed that he had a little bit of development delay, which caused him to be diagnosed with a little bit of autism. So me working with him with autism, some of the things that I learned from him, as well as I learned from working in the field, to put my experience to work as far as his autism. He also has emotional disorder, which he kind of grew out of that by now. So it's really not that severe now, but when he was a small toddler, he got really emotional about different things, like if he couldn't get a toy, he couldn't do anything like that, couldn't get what he wanted, he got real emotional. Now I don't see that as much. Now he kind of like grew out of that. So but we're dealing with it. He autism. He takes special classes where they can work with him through his autism and things like that. But a lot of it he's growing out of now. He still have a little bit of development delay, but he's turned out to be a strong young man. So yeah, so that was my experience with working with him. Now, as far as working with people with disabilities, I can tell you a story how I actually fell in this field. I was working as a retail manager for like 12 years. I was a logistic manager for Target, which I worked a lot of overnight hours, and also was a store manager for CVS for like 4 years, where I managed 3 or 4 of these stores. And if you notice, retail is very demanding, so I had to put a lot of work. I never seen my family. I was coming in from overnight, and they were going out to school and work, so I really didn't see them. So one day I was working at one of them, at Target during the day. I was ready to get off, so it was these group of guys used to come in from a group home, used to come in, and I used to see them all the time, and I said, they used to come and say hello to me. It was so nice. So one day I just asked a staff member, I said, well, what do these guys do on the weekends? And he's just like, sometimes they go out, sometimes, a lot of them don't have family members and things like that, so they really don't do anything. So I said, could you ask your store manager, am I able to, or your store, not manager, your store supervisor, am I able to come over and take these guys out on the weekends for ice cream and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing that on my volunteer time. So I did that for a few months, and then I got a bond with these guys. So I really didn't want to stop visiting them. So then the supervisor at the company asked me, do I want to come work for them? And so I did that. I went part-time with them as well as having my other job. So from there, they asked me, do I want to take full-time hours? So I started full-time. And then I eventually went to a house manager with the company. So I didn't go back to retail.
Gotcha.
I got a passion for working with them. I learned a lot from them. And if you think about it, working in these group home guys really don't have, we're some of the only faces that they see. Some of them don't have family members and things like that. So I made it my business to be involved in their lives. And I just bring them to my house for Christmas time and Thanksgiving dinners and things like that to do different things with them. So I really got attached to these guys in the group home settings. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I went to work for a company called MVLE. So I was working both. I was working the group home and I was working MVLE during the day. Some of the same stuff we do here at most, getting them jobs in the community. And just, being a part of their lives and getting them ready to transition to the adult world.
What is the most rewarding experience you have had in this line of work?
Just being in the line of work for, seeing the happy faces of our individuals transitioning to the adult world, being a part of their lives, watching they build their independence. It's just been a blessing. And then knowing that I am able to help. My wife always say that I like helping people, but that's just what I get a passion for. Just seeing the reward in their face, and and just helping them along and being the best adult that you can be.
If you could go back and change anything from your career, what would it be?
Not sure if I would change anything. Like I said, I like helping, and I like the passion of the field and things like that. So I don't know if I would change anything going back. I would try to do more if that makes sense. We tried different experiences. We tried different things to do. I just, wish I could do more.
Any advice you can give to parents or family members who have to take care of someone with a disability?
Yes. So my advice I could give to family and parents that take care of someone with disability, just notice that we all in some way have a disability. If you notice, and I probably never mentioned this to you guys, that I have a little slight autism myself, and I'm sure that's what my son. I'm sure that's where my son gets it from. So it runs in the family, but just know that we got to support and give them love, just like any other normal person. We're all the same. We all have different disabilities. So I would say that that, you know, the most part of it, just be patient with them, love them, and support them pretty much.
Roger, that is good advice. Well, with that, I think we can call this an episode. I want to thank Mr. Kenny for coming on and talking to me about your experiences. Any final words, Mr. Kenny?
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing the podcast. So, you guys, this is a good thing. So make sure you
coming on.
Join. Yeah, make sure you guys join Emily and her iPod. It was a great experience. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
If you have any questions, be sure to email us at adultingwithmost@gmail.com. Again, thank you for coming on, Mr. Kenny, and thank you for listening to Adulting with Most. Check out the YouTube channel Adulting with Most for the video version of the podcast, as well as how-to videos with Patrick. I've been your host, Emily, and until the next time, stay positive.